Hey there, this is Jennifer with Insight Training Solutions again. So it's been another week and we've got a lot more experience under our belt where we have rolled out several hundred employees on our on-demand employee engagement and training program. So I want to offer you 3 pieces of advice if you're considering rolling out your own employee engagement and training initiative at your medical practice. So the first piece of advice is before you do any of this, think about who or which team at your practice is going to serve as the point person. This is important because it's really easy to roll out the on-demand training, but if you decide later on that you want to tie this with some in-person stuff or you want to really have a follow-up plan internally within the practice, you really want somebody who's kind of a thinker who is looking at the long game, because ongoing employee training can really help from a standpoint of getting your hands around the whole patient experience, your online reviews, making sure that everybody knows where they stand as a member of your team and how their individual role plays into the bigger picture. But this type of training is an investment in the professional development for your employees as well. And you want to look at it from a long-term standpoint of how are you going to use your engagement and training platform to retain and attract some of the best talent that's out there. So I think it's important to have a single point person, somebody again who is a thinker that can make some decisions that is looking at it from a long-term perspective. The second piece of advice that I'm going to give you, and I've got this advice really because I've spent the last week working with practice administrators, local managers, and physicians on rolling out these programs within their practices, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback. So the second piece of feedback that I'm going to share with you is it's really important to have a communication plan in place. Now, the training platform that we're offering, it has all of the emails built in, all of the communications from a regular basis. You sign up, your employees get an email based on the frequency that you want them to, where we unlock the training on your schedule, and it's all set up. So once we hit the button, we're ready to go, and then you just need a point person at your office that's kind of like rah cheerleader. But the bigger piece of the puzzle is making sure that your physicians, that your employees, that your mid-level managers are all on board with the initiative. You want them to fully understand what it is that your employees are going to be participating in and how it is that they can offer encouragement and feedback to employees as they're going through this process. And I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice I'm going to offer you is, have somebody who's going to run point on this, but also how are you going to communicate it to your mid-level staff? And we're actually going now back to the drawing board and coming up with an entire training program for the trainers to make sure that everybody understands how you can maximize employee training and engagement at your practice. We've even come up with a resource guide that I'm using as a baseline document just to roll this out for one practice that we're working with that has over 300 employees that are getting ready next week to start taking the patient experience training that we're offering. So that's my second piece. I would really say, have a game plan in place for how you're going to communicate this overall to everybody to getting everybody on the same page. And then finally, who's going to take the training? Now, this might sound like a simple question, but who is going to take it? Is everybody at the practice responsible for taking it? Are they going to take the training in the same way? And this is important because patient experience training, the modules are broken into 5 modules that are less than 10 minutes each. But the physicians may not have time to take all 5 spread out over the course of 5 weeks. They may want to take them all up front. And do you want your mid-level managers to also take all of the training up front so they know what the employees are doing? Are you going to have the front desk staff take the same training courses as the billing department? I'm going to suggest that you do, because today the way that patient experience works is your patient is at the center of the entire equation, but their interactions with your practice are happening online, offline, front office, back office. You never know. It could even be the cleanliness of your restroom, the size of the font on your invoices, and an interaction on social media that are leaving an impression on the patient before they even walk into your practice. So those are kind of the top things I would think about if you're considering implementing an employee engagement and training program. Just to recap, who is it that's going to be your point person? How are you going to communicate this to your team to get everybody on the same page? and who at the practice is actually going to take the training. So join me next week when I'll share with you some things that I'm learning throughout the week as we're rolling out these programs with practices just like yours. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out. I'm just a phone call away. And again, I'm Jennifer with Insight Training Solutions. Thank you.